Once again, it's good to have you on International Tit-Bits on Atlantic Television Network. International Tit-Bits is a show where we bring you news, events, and stories from across the world. Here we ensure that the real on-time news are packaged for the viewing pleasure of the people. And today we have a number of topics. Our first topic from Kenya: woman found guilty of female genital mutilation receives 7 years jail sentence. Gaza, Israeli hostages suffer losses, extreme difficult conditions. Russia, Putin held responsible for Navalny, Alexei's husband's death. United States, Trump fined for civil fraud, banned from running businesses. Canada ordered to pay compensation after inaccurate information. And we have a guest. Our guest today is a foreign affairs analyst, and when we return from this break, we will introduce him to you, so stay with us.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
on the point of order.
Honorable
Welcome back. Once again, this is International Tit-Bits on Atlantic Television Network, and today we have a foreign affairs analyst in person of Mr. Prosper Samuel. Mr. Prosper, you're welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for joining me on the show today.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go right into our stories for today from Kenya. A woman who was found guilty of handing over a 3-year-old British girl for female genital mutilation during a trip to Kenya has been jailed for 7 years. Amina Noor, 40, was convicted last year of assisting a Kenyan woman to carry out the procedure overseas in 2006. The conviction was the first for assisting in such harm under the Female Genital Mutilation Act 2003. Mr. Justice Bryan, sentencing Noor to 7 years at the Old Bailey on Friday, described the crime as truly horrific and abhorrent. Female genital mutilation involves the partial or total removal of the external female genitalia and is considered a violation of the rights of women and girls. In 2012, the UN passed a resolution to ban female genital mutilation, but it is still practiced in about 30 countries. In 2006, Noor, then 22, traveled from Harrow in northwest London to Kenya with the toddler, who was taken to a private home and subjected to female genital mutilation. The crime came to light years later when the girl was 16 and confided in her English school teacher. On Friday, the judge said he hoped her bravery would encourage others to come forward to report incidents. The victim, who is now 21, cannot be identified for legal reasons. The only other successful prosecution under the 2003 Act was in 2019, when a Ugandan woman from Walthamstow, East London, was jailed for 11 years for cutting a 3-year-old girl. The court held that when spoken to, the defendant said she thought the procedure was just an injection and that afterwards the girl was happy and able to run around and play. But when the girl was examined in 2019, it emerged her clitoris had been removed. According to an initial account, Noor described going with another woman to a clinic where the girl was called into a room for a procedure. The defendant said she was invited in, but she refused because she was scared and worried. Afterwards, the girl cried the whole night and complained of pain, according to the account. Jurors were told the defendant was born in Somalia and moved to Kenya at the age of 8 during the civil war in Somalia. She was 16 when she came to the UK and was later granted British citizenship. Given evidence in her trial, Noor said she was being threatened with being cursed. She was threatened with being cursed and disowned within her community if she did not take part in the female genital mutilation. In a later police interview under caution, Noor denied that anyone had made threats against her before the girl was harmed. Fatty Kane, a girls' rights senior advisor at Action Aid UK, welcomed Friday's sentencing. It is distressing to hear of any young girl going through this act of violence, let alone a 3-year-old girl. In communities where we work, including in Kenya, we have seen the severe physical, psychological, and social consequences that female genital mutilation can have on girls and women for the rest of their lives. We can only hope that today's verdict delivers not only justice for the survivor, but that it helps her to cope with the trauma and distress it has caused her, said Kane. Now, Mr. Prosper, we know that it is normal for men to be circumcised, given nature and coming from way back. But can you tell us what exactly is the essence of female genital mutilation for the woman?
There is absolutely no reason to circumcise a woman. There are no medical benefits to it. I think the reason is just cultural and traditional reasons, belief systems that were handed over by people's ancestors, their forefathers to them. Away from that, there is no known medical benefits to that. It's just a harmful practice to circumcise a lady.
Okay, so female genital mutilation has nothing that it would benefit the woman, but it is a cultural tradition passed down.
Yeah.
Is it that they expect the female child to become a nun in future, or to never get married, or live her life sacrificed to Christ, chastised rather, for the rest of her life, that they carry out such practices in the name of cultural traditions?
Since you are calling Christ, there is nowhere in the Bible that Jesus recommended, or even God, both in the Old and the New Testament, that God talked about female genital circumcision. Understand? The first time the circumcision was mentioned was, as it has to do with Abraham, right? And God specifically told him in the Bible that all the male in his house. So even when it was introduced, it was specified for the male, not the woman. So if you want to be a nun, it's not by circumcision. It's just by you consecrating yourself through discipline and the necessary vows according to your belief system.
So then where can we say this such culture came from?
I can't tell exactly when it started, but it's just people's belief system. It's just people that came together and said, okay, if we do this thing, let's just do this thing. People just come together and agree. Just like some other belief system that has been abolished, like, for example, slave trade. You understand, in the past. The Western world, they came to Africa, Europe, and America, and saw people that are not of the same skin color like them, and said they are monkeys. and started taking them as slaves, you know, to all kinds of treatment. You know, it was the belief system of then. But now, people have seen that it's just skin color that is our difference. So those female genital mutilation is just people's belief system. People just came together and said, if we are going to do this, if we don't do this, this will happen to us. All those things are barbaric and they are bad, they are devilish, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so this lady took a 3-year-old child to get her mutilated without the child's consent, because obviously she was too little to give her consent, right? And all the punishment that is given to her is 7 years. Do you think that that is punishment enough for the harm and the mental, social harm that she has caused to this child?
You know, since it was done by the courts, you know, we'll say based on the judgment of the court is okay, because sometimes justice doesn't really equate the crime. So for example, somebody commits murder, a life is taken. Maybe they will send the other person that committed the murder to 10 years in prison. Even if they send it to life imprisonment, there is no amount of prison that can be compared to a human life. But the most important thing there is justice, that justice has been served, a punishment for the offense. So that 7 years, I won't say whether it's little or it's much, but the most important thing that justice has been served to that person. Then now, for the little child that was taken there, even an adult, a female adult, is not healthy. I've heard of people that are bled to death. Some people who are infected with all kinds of sickness and diseases. You know, the way a woman's body is designed and that of a man are not the same. God is the one that created each person, the male and the female, differently. And he specifically gave instruction for the male to be circumcised. If there was a need for female to be circumcised, he would have designed them in that manner. You understand? So taking a little child that is, even if he's an adult that is 18 and above, it's not healthy, it's not right.
No, you say justice has been served, and no matter the amount of justice, things cannot be undone. Yes, we understand that. But do you think that the child, now 21, will see that as justice, given that this is going to forever cause her a scar and trauma for the rest of her life? Also, let's not talk about the implications of it on her sexual life when she eventually goes into a relationship or gets married. It's going to definitely have a very big effect on her sexual life, as sexual orgasm might not just be attained, or even if it is, I don't think she'll be able to feel it or have any sensation of it. So this, aside from that sexual implication, there's a whole lot of mental trauma on it. And yes, you'd say justice has been served, and no matter what happens, do you think that the lady will see that as justice being done? Because even the lady herself who took the child there couldn't bring herself to go into the room, even though she claimed she thought it was just giving an injection. But somehow she couldn't go into the room with the child. But you say it's just an injection process. So she must have had an idea of what the process was about, and she still went ahead to do it. And now 7 years, do you think that the child now lady is going to be satisfied with such punishment given to the lady?
She may or she may not. That's we can't speak for her because we are not in her mind. I can't tell. But at least it's better than when nothing is done about the matter.
Sure.
Because, like I said, justice sometimes may not entirely satisfy the person that is offended. But the feeling, that thought that justice has been served is better than when it is not. Then for the woman that took the child there, I think she came from Europe, right? According to the reports, from Europe to Africa. And she said it's for injection.
Yes.
Which African medical facility is stronger than that of Europe, that they brought her for medical injection or whatever? I think people are just, she's just trying to make an excuse for what she has done. She knew, from the look of things, that woman knew that this is what they are about to do. Because in Europe, they don't do that. They won't do that.
The brother from Somalia.
Yes.
Somalia.
Yeah, they won't do that. I think, you read, she came from one part of Europe to Somalia.
No, from Somalia to Kenya.
To Kenya. Okay, all right. Now, the person that took her there to that particular house knew that that's what they wanted to do. So whether the lady may be satisfied or not, but for me, I would think that she should at least be happy that justice has been served.
Okay, so going further, what do you think that these governments can do? Because we know that this is still going on in over 30 other countries. What do you think that the government can do to finally curb this? Because it is leaving a scar on the lives of women, the girl child. So what role do you think the government can play to make sure that these kind of stories don't pop up anymore?
Even in our country, Nigeria, it still goes on. I think was it this week or last week, they did something like, they marked a day like that, something, a day against female genital mutilation, something like that. Yeah. What the government need to do, number one, there are laws already. So first, so that the government won't look as if they are wicked, the people are not aware of the law, start with information. The national orientation of different countries should start informing the people, bring the information to their local level, using Tankraya if possible, their local traditional media, whether radio, television, newspaper, in their own native dialect. If possible, going from house to house and passing this information that this thing has been banned by the government and by United Nations, that if you are caught doing this, this is the penalty and there's the penalty. After that information is done, then the next thing will be law enforcement. Those laws should be enforced, because one thing that is lacking in this part of the world is the enforcement of laws. We have beautiful laws, but we have poor law enforcement agencies. Now, when those laws are enforced, the offenders are brought to book. Others will be scared. It doesn't matter your tradition. The government of that nation is higher, and the constitution, the laws that are made in the National Assembly is higher than the laws of your custom and your tradition. So when they are enforced, information and law enforcement, these two, then penalty to offenders, these three will curb the situation.
Yeah, these are beautiful plans, no doubt, but we know that when it comes to culture, people have a way of it's a do or die affair, kind of. It's kind of difficult to separate them from something they've known their whole lives. So do you think that there's anything that the government can give them to hold on to, or that can help alter their belief against female genital mutilation? Because there has to be a driving force for them to believe that this has to even be done in the first place. Because imagine that someone is holding on to the fact that if we do not carry out this mutilation on our female child, the gods are going to rain all hell down on us, the heavens will be closed towards us, and all of that. Do you think that they are going to take whatever penalty the government wants to give over the gods raining down the wrath upon them?
Every belief system started with an information someday, somewhere. And even the gods that they are claiming, that they have, those days, we had that television or cars and telephone like we have now, where the gods having issues with it. Now that there is television and telephone and there is science, technology, even the gods, they are adjusting to the technology, because even some of their traditional beliefs are now on social media. So the gods too are happy that they're on social media. So things are changing. So what do they need to do? Is information, reorientation, changing of people's mind. It will take time. But if the government, they are serious about it, they will achieve it. Because the powers of the state, of the nation, is vested in the government, not in anybody's traditional belief system. So for the government to be fair and be just, that's what I started with. They go for information, reorientate them. You show them the medical dangers that are involved in it. That when this thing happened, this is what happened. Then when they see that somebody, they didn't, circumcise a female, and no gods will rain down anything, nothing will happen, because even life functions according to our belief system. So those things are just figments of people's imagination. There is nothing like that. No gods will rain on them. Let them do it and see what that. Now that that lady has been exposed and she's arrested, will the gods go and set her free from the prison? Nothing like that will happen. So all those things are just people's belief system that doesn't hold water.
All right.
The government should carry their powers that the Constitution gave to them and enforce it.
Okay. On to our next story for today. Hamas's armed wing said on Friday that Israeli taken hostage by the militants on October 7 had suffered many losses and that those that were alive were living in extremely difficult conditions. Hamas militants killed 1,200 people in southern Israel and abducted at least 250 in their October incursion, according to Israeli tallies. Israel has responded with a military assault on the Gaza Strip that has killed more than 28,000 Palestinians, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. During a week-long truce in late November, Hamas freed more than 100 Israeli and foreign hostages in exchange for Israel releasing about 240 Palestinian prisoners. Losses amongst Israeli hostages have become many, while other hostages live in extremely difficult conditions. Hamas armed wing spokesman Abu Ubaidah said in an audio message, "We warned dozens of times about the dangers of which the hostages are being exposed. We didn't want the situation to reach this stage, but Israel's leadership ignored us," he said. "For months, we tried to protect and care for the lives of these hostages, as it is our top humanitarian goal to liberate our own prisoners and to realize the legitimate rights of our people." Israel's chief military spokesperson, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, said on Tuesday that 31 of the remaining hostages held by Hamas in Gaza were dead. Israel has said 136 hostages are still being held in Gaza. The Palestinian Prisoners Club, which documents and cares for all Palestinian detainees, issued a statement on Tuesday saying the number of Palestinians who have been arrested since October 7 had reached 7,000. Now, Mr. Prosper, Hamas is saying that the hostages are living in difficult situations and most of them are dead, right? And I don't know if this is supposed to be now they're saying they have tried to reach Israelis leadership and told them about, let's say, exchanging the prisoners and whatever their conditions were to let the prisoners go because of the hard conditions they were living in. Do you think that the Israeli leadership will listen to this, or rather see this as an excuse because the hostages are dead? So you took the hostages and you were in the place of power to make sure that these hostages were taken care of, although the Hamas militants say they did their best. But do you think that the Israeli leadership was going to buy into this statement of the Hamas militants?
I don't think Benjamin Netanyahu, that's his name, the Prime Minister of Israel, will listen to this. You know, one of those days we had a conversation when the South African government took them to ICJ, right? Yeah. International Court of Justice.
Yes.
Yeah. And I told you then that they will not listen, and the war is still on. All those things may be just tricks because they've tried to bring all kinds of truths. You know, they want to settle, so they use all those things. In the first place, why did they invade Israel? Killed over 1,200 persons and captured those people. What do they want to do with them? Now they are complaining that the people are dead. Some of them are in a harsh condition. Okay, who kept them in that harsh condition? And who is maybe putting them in the condition that they are dying? It's the Hamas. So their statement is not holding water at all. It's neither here nor there. If they really want to, they should release them. Then surrender. Because they started the fight in the first place. Israel was calm. The Gaza, right, was also calm. They invaded Israel. And now the people have retaliated and they are not looking back. Now they are bringing all kinds of conditions to say their prisoners are starving. Yeah, if they really want to release, then they should take care of the Israeli prisoners that are with them. That's what I think.
Okay, so you believe that with this situation that's on ground, the war is nowhere near an end, or it's not looking like it's going to have an end anytime soon, because this matter just made it worse.
The Prime Minister of Israel made a statement now, a couple of days ago, it should be last week or thereabout. He said they are not stopping until they conquer everybody. I'm paraphrasing, I'm not using the exact word. Until they conquer, until they win, until they subdue the whole, not even one of the Hamas militants. Because they've tried to use, I think the militants, they told them that they should give them about 2 months, at least a couple of months ceasefire, and they wanted to ease the Prime Minister of Benjamin Netanyahu. He said he will not accept it. All those things. They're not until all of the Hamas militants. But if they stop, it will not look well for Israel.
Okay, so would you say that Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister, also has a part to play in this issue? Because given that the Hamas militants are asking for a pause in the fighting so that these hostages can do a hostage trade and things can be, they can have peace talks and all of that. Now, would you say that Benjamin has a part to play, given that they've tried to have reasonable talks with him and he's not paying attention? Also, the statement made that the hostages are dying and some of them living in tough conditions, and Benjamin is still hell-bent on destroying the Hamas militants rather than focusing on the fact that their hostages are losing their lives and living in difficult conditions. I mean, anyone would think that his priority would be the people that are dying, and also people are losing their loved ones, right? Because those hostages have loved ones. So don't you think that Benjamin has a part to play, because he could have as well just had the peace talks, or they could have taken a pause in the fight so the hostages could come back home. But now, even after the hostages are dying, he is still focused on doing away with the Hamas militants and making sure that no one survives.
You know, they are on ground and they have information that we don't. And these are military generals. The tricks in warfare. Sometimes your opponent in warfare can use, you know, all kinds of tricks to make you to lure you into his trap. So maybe they have read meaning into what those militants are saying, and they found out that no, these people are using tricks. Then on the other hand, you know, these militants, I don't see them as people that want to surrender. You want to surrender, you are giving condition. You should come up open that we are sorry for what we did, so therefore we don't want. Now, if you also see that there are also affiliate other militant groups that are also fighting against the Israeli army. For example, I think there should be some militant group in Yemen. They ship to pass through the Black Sea, because you have to pass through the Black Sea to get to Israel. They have been, you know, throwing a missile bomb on them. I think they also attacked a ship of U.S. and killed some people. So even the U.S. Army, United States, they also retaliated and sent also some missiles into the Yemen, into the militant camp and all that. So you see that their affiliate group, they are fighting. So these people, they believe that they have information that we don't know, that they will not bring into public domain. That's why they are refusing what these militants are telling them, because they know them. You know, remember, they have common boundary with each other. They know them. And they have been at war. Was it not since October last year?
Yes.
Yes, till now. So they know their tricks and whatever thing they want to do.
So you think that Benjamin Netanyahu is taking the right stand and is making the right call in this decision?
I'm not the spokesman for Israel. I can't tell whether he's making the right stand. But I know that whatever decision that he is making, he believes that nation, Israel, that is a prime minister over. So that is left for him.
Okay. So you also think that if the Hamas militants truly want to surrender, they should release the hostages that are still alive, that are living in harsh conditions, and surrender to Israel, and this whole war will be over. Even if Israel says they must kill every single one of them, even after surrendering, not taking anyone as prisoners, they should still do that for peace to reign.
You know, if you watch, there are some Palestinians that are prisoners in Israel, right? It means that they are not killing everybody.
Yeah.
There are some people that are, you know, taken captive. So if these people, they really want to surrender, they should own up and apologize first of all that we are sorry, Israel, for attacking your nation.
Do you think that's enough?
At least that should be the first step. And that they surrender and drop their arms. Because once they surrender and drop their arms, because they are fighting back. Yes, they are fighting back. That's why you can hear that some Israeli soldiers also are. Yes, now there are some Israeli soldiers that are dying in the war. So they are fighting back. If truly you want peace, then you should surrender. Once they surrender, that they want peace, they don't want war again. I don't think they have dropped their weapons. They are no longer shooting back. They are fighting back, that the Israeli people will just keep killing them like that. No, they too, they will want to, you know, calm down. But, you know, when the peace is standing on one leg.
So who's to say that that is not also a setup, that probably when Israel decides to let their guard down and go to take them in as captives, the Hamas militants just does away with them?
You know, Israel, they are one of the the strongest people when it comes to technology and security in the world, if not the one of the strongest. So somehow I don't know, they have a way of getting their information. You know, there was, is it Jordan, if I'm not mistaken, one other country that is close to Israel. I think the country had to tell the citizen to switch off their CCTV camera, that Israeli, the nation of Israel have tapped into their CCTV. So whatever they are watching, Israel seeing them, because they too, the Israeli army kept an eye on them, so that the militants in that nation will not join the Hamas. So if they could tap into somebody's CCTV in the person's house, and the other time when they wanted to invade that big hospital, they told the world that the militants are hiding there. And some people came out and said no, that the people there are just sick people and people that needed medical. And they later found out that the militants were using the hospital as a hideout. How did they know? That I can't tell. But I believe they have information, because everything those militants do, they talk. And remember, every organization have Judas. Yes, there could be somebody in that Hamas group that is also leaking information to the Israeli soldiers. You understand? And all that. So they will, when they get the proper information that these people are truly ready to surrender, I think they will make peace with them. That's what I think. But I don't know what's in the mind of the Prime Minister and the nation of Israel. If they will do that, or they will continue like as is bent at wiping out the entire Hamas militants.
All right. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Prosper. You're still watching International Tidbits on Atlantic Television Network. We will return after this short break.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
City, are you ready? Get set for an unforgettable experience at St. Palace event. Proudly present
Ibon Feast 2024.
Featuring a spectacular blend of food, dance, culture, art, lifestyle, connect, and much more. Save the date, March 2nd, 2024. Join us from 12 noon till dawn at Teyama Glassy, East West Road by Rumudara, Port Harcourt. Secure sports online tickets available at www.teleafricatickets.com. Regular 3,000 naira, VIP 20,000 naira, table for 4 200,000 naira, gold 500,000 naira. Experience the enchantment at Teyama Glassy, where the heart of Akwa Ibom comes alive. Grab your tickets at the Big Restaurant, the Suka, Pepperoni, the Big Restaurant, and Market Square. Official sponsors: Atlantic Television Network, Wish FM 99.5 Port Harcourt. And for sponsorship opportunities, contact 080 36 89 80 60, 091 57 60 57 63, 080 63 48 76 00. Ibon Feast 2024 is a celebration of Akwa Ibom's richness. Don't miss out the feast of a lifetime. See you there.
Welcome back. This is the International Tit-Bits on Atlantic Television Network. Now the rest of the stories. Alexei Navalny's wife has said she does not know whether to believe he is dead, but that President Putin and his regime must be held accountable if it is true. Yulia Navalny was speaking at the Munich Security Conference hours after Russian authorities said the 47-year-old had died in prison. She said she did not know whether to still speak or fly to her children, but that she asked herself what her husband would have done. "I'm confident he would be here on the stage," she told the audience. Mrs. Navalny said she was unsure whether Friday afternoon statement from the prison service was true. "I don't know whether to believe or not. This is terrible news that we only receive from Russian government sources," she said. "For many years we cannot trust Putin and the Putin government. They always lie." The prison service said Mr. Navalny, for years President Putin's most outspoken opponent, died after going on a walk and feeling unwell. He was imprisoned in the Arctic Circle after being convicted of multiple charges, mostly recently getting another 19-year sentence in August. Mr. Navalny nearly died in 2020 when he was poisoned with Novichok, and became unwell on a flight. However, he eventually returned to Russia to continue his campaigning against corruption and authoritarianism. Mrs. Navalny added, "If this is true, I want Putin and everyone around him to know that they will be held accountable for everything they did to our country, to my family, and to my husband. And this day will come very soon. I want to call on the international community, everyone in this room, and people around the world to unite and defeat this terrible regime in Russia. That regime and Putin have to be personally liable for all the horrible things are doing to my country, our country, Russia, in these last years." She was given a standing ovation as she left the stage. Mr. Prosper, do you think that President Putin will consider what Mrs. Navalny Alexei has said concerning holding Putin responsible for the death of Mr. Navalny? Do you think he would consider that a threat?
Putin, looking at his antecedents, even with all the sanctions that United States and Europe and some other nations gave to Russia as regards their invasion of Ukraine, he didn't listen, he didn't even care. Instead, he also sanctioned some of those nations, their citizens that are there. And looking at how this man was arrested and the charges that came up, he was sent to prison later. Another 19 years was given again. He won't listen to her. He won't see her words as a threat at all. Because if you look at the woman, her husband, the husband was his greatest opposition in Russia. Look at the way the man ended. So he won't see it as a threat at all.
But given that he was Putin's greatest opposition, is it safe to think that he might have not died under normal circumstances?
The only thing that can prove that will be an autopsy. Because we can't stay from afar and look at it. There are no facts. We don't have any facts or evidence. But an autopsy that is carried out by an organization that is an unbiased organization will be able to tell whether he was killed or it was a natural death. But looking at the circumstances, like the wife said, fingers will be pointing at certain people in Russia.
Okay, so what exactly did Alexei mean by Putin and Putin's regime all operate under a lie?
She is a citizen of Russia, right? So she knows what goes on in her country. And then these are some of the things her husband was fighting against and speaking out against. He also spoke against their Ukraine invasion and Russia invasion against Ukraine and some other laws and things that Vladimir Putin was doing in Russia there. So they know, like I said, she has her facts. For her to come up in the open and say such a thing that is weighty. Those words are weighty. They are not just mere words. They are words that somebody that has facts, it's only somebody that has facts to be able to say such kind of thing. So maybe she has her facts.
Okay.
That's why she has.
So do you think that Alexei might just come up as Putin's next or new deadly opponent?
She may decide to continue from her husband's legacy, or she may decide to also re-strategize. But she made a statement. She said that Putin and the government of Russia will be held accountable for what happened to her husband and the nation. That when the time comes, that people will see. So when the time comes, connotes that there is a plan, there is an agenda waiting for the time to be executed. So
okay, because I am also asking because she had two choices: to stand and speak, address the people, and also to fly back to her children and just cozy up with them. But she said this is what her husband would have wanted. So she would be running with the idea, perhaps, that her husband would have also wanted her to pick up his legacy and go head to head with Putin. So this might just be, there might just be something underneath that she's planning.
Yeah, you know, just like in the time of Nelson Mandela and Winnie Mandela, you know, when he was arrested and, you know, jailed, Winnie Mandela continued his legacy. She stood and fought for South Africa. So maybe this woman too will do the same, because she said she had two options. One, to fly and go and meet her children, or to stand. And she said if her husband was alive, he would have stood. Right?
Yes.
So in other words, she said this is what her husband will do. Maybe that's the option she will choose, to stand.
Do you think that she'll be, if she's taking this path of the road, do you think that she's going to be successful?
She has powerful enemies, I must say, because her husband too had powerful enemies before he died. See, when somebody is in power, that's what they call it, in power. When that person is in power, the person is actually in power. So they have powerful enemies. But nevertheless, no matter how people are powerful, they will get to the point one day that power, they will leave it for another person. So she may stand the risks of going the way her husband has gone to. Or she may decide to have a better strategy than the husband, and maybe she will win this fight. But only time will tell.
All right.
Yeah.
On to our next story for today. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has been fined $354.9 million after a civil fraud trial in New York. With interest included, he will have to hand over at least $453.5 million. The judge also banned Trump from running businesses in New York for 3 years. His sons, Eric and Donald Jr., received similar bans for 2 years. Trump and the Trump Organization cannot apply for loans from any New York financial institution for 3 years. Judge Arthur Engoron had already ruled in an earlier judgment that the former president inflated his wealth on financial statements given to banks, insurance, and other institutions to make deals and secure loans. Following the fine, Trump took to his Truth social platforms to vent his anger, describing the decision as a complete and total sham, and accused the judge and prosecutors of being deluded, biased, and crooked. He also claimed the judgment was illegal and un-American. Later, in a statement made outside his Mar-a-Lago estate, he claimed his company's accounts were great and that he was the victim of a political witch hunt, which he blamed on President Joe Biden. It is a witch hunt against his political opponent, the likes of which our country has never seen before, he said. You see it in the third world countries, but you don't see it here. If I weren't running, none of this stuff would ever happen. None of these lawsuits would have happened. I would have a nice life, but I enjoy this life for a different reason. He also said he planned to appeal. Alina Haba, his lawyer, said after the hearing that the ruling was a manifest injustice, plain and simple. She said in a statement, it is the culmination of a multi-year politically fueled witch hunt that was designed to take down Donald Trump before Letitia James ever stepped foot into the Attorney General's office. New York Attorney General Letitia James sought $370 million and a ban on Trump and other defendants from doing business in the state in the civil fraud case. Such a huge penalty could leave Trump's real estate empire in tatters, an image that helps lead him to fame and the White House in 2016. Judge Engoron also cancelled his prior ruling from September ordering the dissolution of companies that control areas of Trump's real estate empire, saying this was no longer necessary because he is appointing an independent compliance an independent monitor and compliance director to oversee the businesses. Now, Mr. Prosper, Trump is facing a whole lot of charges. Former President Donald Trump is facing a whole lot of charges, and yes, one will look at it that it was until he decided to run for president again that these charges started to pop up. But would we say these charges are untrue, even though they are coming out now that he's running for president?
Courts, they judge matters by the evidence presented to them through the lawyers of either the defendant or the plaintiff, as they call them. So we don't know whether those facts, those evidence presented before the courts are true or false. But based on what was presented, I believe his lawyer too saw the evidence that were presented, and they argued for and argued against, and the judgment, finally was given. If he is not comfortable with it, and if he feels they are not true, there is a window for appeal. He can appeal and also gather more evidence and more facts and argue his case. And maybe in the appeal, he may win, or he may also be given the same feat of judgment.
Okay, but why do you think Donald Trump wants to run again for another term? Why do you think that he's so desperate to win this election?
I think according to the Constitution, he can do more than one now. They have more than one term, right? Yeah. So maybe he has an ambition to also, maybe it's his ambition. He wants to come up again for the second term. It's just, I see it as an ambition.
But Donald Trump happens to have a lot of enemies, and somehow he doesn't seem to mind. He always mindlessly moves past each and every one of them and just goes right ahead for what he wants. We must say something. There must be a very strong force, I don't know if it's determination, that is driving Donald Trump to do such a thing. What do you think could be the driving force for Donald Trump to make him so ambitious, given that even though they're throwing trials and they're throwing charges against him here and there, I mean, he has so many charges on his neck right now, he doesn't still want to quit?
They say winners don't quit and quitters don't win. So he sees himself as a winner. You understand? But Donald Trump is a dogged man. He's a man that set goals, pursues them, and achieves them. I think he has done that from when he started in his business career and up to when he became a president in 2016 and all that, and when he lost to Joe Biden, and now he's trying to come back again. So I believe that his beliefs, his conviction, his determination is what is the force that is driving him.
Okay, so do you think that it is a fair ruling to ban Donald Trump from partaking in any businesses or owning any businesses in New York City for the next 3 years?
How would I go and say this thing?
I mean, it's not just him, it's his sons too.
Those things will cripple his finances. See, if the judgments and the facts that are presented are true, then it's okay. But if he's politically motivated, then they are witch hunting that man. I think one of the way the opponents they use, they either cripple your financial source because it takes money to run election, whether in America, in Africa, in Europe, or it takes money. You understand? So they want to cripple his economic strengths because their elections are close. You understand? They are not very far. So when they cripple his economic power, he will not be able to have as much strength to pull the results that he should pull. So if he's like he said, these things are political witch hunting against him. So he maybe has his facts. He has his reasons for saying that. But if it's true, then that's what the opponents they want to do.
So you believe that Donald Trump is innocent of all these charges against him?
I don't believe, and I'm not saying they are true, because I'm not in America. I don't know exactly those facts. I'm not a citizen of the United States to know whether those charges are true. I'm not in the White House, but the court will tell. That's all I'll say.
Okay, so what do you think Biden is in for if fortunately Donald Trump wins?
It won't do much because the Western world and Europe, they are not like Africa. You understand that when you come into power, instead of you to face the government, you start pursuing your enemy, your so-called political enemy. They can pursue the enemy for 2 years, even if the economy is crumbling. They don't care until they bring down that person. That's why he made a clause there. He made a statement. He said, "These things happens in the third world."
Yeah.
You understand? True. But on the other hand, I will say, since they are calling those who happen in the third world, it's now happening in the first world too. So what goes around is also coming around to them. So that's what I think, that
Biden won't really do anything.
but if Donald Trump becomes the president, he won't do anything to Biden.
Okay.
It's not like in Africa or in Nigeria that he will just use the police, arrest somebody, or use the army and take him to court today, bring up judgment tomorrow. They have strong institutions.
But do you think that Biden is just going to let Donald Trump have a peaceful, move into seat, given that he's also fighting to get this position too?
If Donald Trump wins, Biden can't stop him from being a president because of the kind of institution that they have in America. You can't. The institution will fight Biden. The institution will go against him. Unlike this part of the world, that if a president say this election, he find out that he is losing, he can just stand up and say the election is cancelled in 5 states or in 20 states. But there you can't do that because the president don't have that level of power. The institutions are there to checkmate his power. You understand? So if any of them win, they can't outrightly come. If not, Biden would have come against Donald Trump since now. Right? But they are following legal means, the courts, and everybody go to the court and present your case. If it were some part of the world, in this part of the world where Donald Trump would have been arrested, and one form of accusation, you'll just see him by a few days in prison, and he's now an ex-convict, so he cannot even contest again. But you can't do that in the Western world. You must prove your case beyond every reasonable doubt in the court of law. Then the court will now give their judgment based on the facts that are presented before them.
All right.
So based on that, he can't do anything.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prosper Samuel. Unfortunately, that is all we can take today on International Tidbits. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today. It was a good time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. I hope to do this again. If you missed out, you can follow us on all our social media platforms on Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, Twitter, Atlantic TV Net, or you can watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. Do remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching. Stay connected on all ATN socials. I am Valentina Lawrence, and we will see you again.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
People into the country illegally. amazing.
Honorable
You human
on the point of order.
Honorable
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.